This next one, um, this has been talked about throughout the entire weekend, and the NFL draft has just concluded. Congrats to all the players that got drafted and all the undrafted free agents that were signed. There were a lot of deserving players that got drafted. There's some controversy ones that did not get drafted, of course. And I mean, if you look at what happened, then you can understand why they weren't drafted. They could be a terrific player on the field, but you know how things are now. If you're doing something off the field, then it's almost like being a bad person at a regular job. Because at the end of the day, working in as an athlete is a job. It's a job. So if you do something outside that people don't agree with, then you more than likely may not represent that shield. So with that being said, I am putting the NFL in the doghouse. Now, why is the NFL being put in the doghouse? The NFL is being put in the doghouse because everyone saw what happened to Shadir Sanders. Everyone saw what happened to Shadir Sanders. And I'm not going to make this a race thing. I'm just going to talk about what the guy did on the field. Because if you look at what he accomplished in college, there was a consensus right before, I want to say at least a week before the NFL draft came, where he was a consensus top 5 pick. He was going to be the second quarterback taken in the draft. Then you hear that there was a lot of controversy around his interviews, and his interviews weren't going well. And a lot of people didn't think that he was really that good on tape. If you look at his last game in BYU in the bowl game, it didn't help him. I'll be honest, it didn't help him. But there is no way that people can tell me about all of these quarterbacks that were drafted before him. Cam Ward was the consensus number one overall pick, and I'm a University of Miami fan. So I am very glad that he got the opportunity to get drafted number one overall, and he's going to wear number one. Warren Moon definitely gave him the jersey so that he can wear number one. But outside of Cam Ward, the consensus was the top two quarterbacks in this draft was Cam Ward and Shadir Sanders. They both kind of sort of had the same, well, I won't say the same thing, but they kind of had the same path. They both played in schools that were not D1. He Cam Ward played for Incarnate Word, and Shadir Shadir Sanders started out at Jackson State, and of course, it was with his father. But you had Tyler Show get drafted before him. You had Dylan Gabriel get drafted before him. You had Jalen Milrow get drafted before him. From what I remember, none of those quarterbacks were better than him in college football. He was the most accurate, of course. Not the most athletic, though, but still the most accurate. He has a strong enough arm to complete passes, and he was pretty much running for his life almost his entire career, especially in Colorado. His offensive line was not good. But Tyler Show, um, I didn't even hear his name being considered as the quarterback drafted until the week of the draft, honestly. Now, I heard names like Jackson Dart, and I called it. I knew the Giants would draft him. But even in that situation, I mean, it to me, it made more sense to draft Jackson Dart because you have Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston there. But who I would have drafted, me more than likely, I wouldn't have signed those two quarterbacks. I probably would have signed one of them and then drafted Shadir Sanders. That's what I would have done if I was, them. But hey, they drafted Abdul Carter. That's a really good pick. I'm not mad at that. And they got Jackson Dart. So it makes more sense in their eyes. But all the other, even the Browns. Yeah, the Browns ended up drafting him in the 5th round, but they drafted Dylan Gabriel before they drafted him. Dylan Gabriel is not a better quarterback than him. Will Howard also got drafted to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, when Tyler Show got drafted, we were live on the show, and I announced it live on the show. I just didn't, I didn't understand how he would be drafted before Shedeur Sanders. There's nothing he did in the combine or nothing he put on tape that was better than what Shedeur Sanders did. Absolutely nothing. But he's a Kellen Moore type of player. I guess so. I still need answers for all the other quarterbacks that were drafted before him. And then, not just that. Something else happened to Shedeur Sanders in that draft. Do you know that he got, well, everyone knows it now. He got a prank call during that draft. He wasn't the only one, but in his circumstances, it looked really bad because he got a prank call by Falcons defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbricht's 21-year-old son, Jax Ulbricht, basically telling him that he has to wait longer. And guess what he did? He had to wait longer. What makes this even worse is because the number that he called was only given to NFL executives. So that means somehow, some way, he got Shedeur Sanders' number from his dad. Now, I know that Tyler Warren got a prank call as well. Tyler Warren was a first-round pick, so it didn't hurt him that much. And I understand it. If you look at the draft coverage was mainly on Shedeur Sanders. I understand it, but that's because we all saw and believed that he should have been at least the second quarterback taken in this draft. But yes, the Browns drafted him in the first round, but the Browns passed on him. The Raiders passed on him. The Raiders, Tom Brady is a part of the ownership group. He trained with Shedeur Sanders, and he passed up on him. Steelers passed up on him multiple times. Now, there are other teams that passed up on him, but it wasn't that much talk from these other teams. They at least have starting quarterbacks in place. The Browns had Joe Flacco at the time and Kenny Pickett and Deshaun Watson, of course. How were they okay with that at the time? And then going to go draft Dillon Gabriel before you draft Shedeur Sanders? How many Oregon quarterbacks are going to come out and get drafted high and not do nothing in the NFL? The only one that's done something is Justin Herbert, and he hasn't even won a playoff game yet. He's 0-2 in the playoffs. 0-2. Not one playoff win yet. Marcus Mariota, he's a backup. Name another Oregon quarterback that's doing something in the NFL. It's just like Alabama quarterbacks. The only one you can say is doing something now is Jalen Hurts, but you can't consider that Alabama quarterback because he went to Oklahoma. Tua is doing something, but he doesn't have a playoff win. Yes, I get it. He played at Colorado, but if you look at the circumstances, he played well in bad conditions. The offensive line sucked, and he still played well. He got them to 9-3, where teams and fans, media people were calling Colorado had the worst roster in the country. Y'all do know there's over 100 college football teams, right? So that means that they have the worst out of 100 plus teams. And he got them to 9-3 and a bowl game. Just saying. NFL, what you did was what happened that night, what happened throughout this weekend through the draft was absolutely wrong. and y'all know it was wrong. So NFL, y'all know what y'all was doing. Y'all in the doghouse.
My guy, you in the doghouse.